Welcome back to the Modern Woodcarver podcast. I'm your host, Michael. Today I'm joined by David Young, a talented and creative woodcarver known for his geometric carvings and colorful painting techniques. His work is instantly recognizable and has a really clean, unique look to it. You might know him online as DY Woodcarving, or from his YouTube videos, or even from his book, Whittling on the Go. On today's episode, we get into how David got started in carving, how his signature style developed, and what it's like creating content on YouTube and even writing a wood carving book. David, I really appreciate you coming on. I'm really glad to have you here today.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. Happy to be here and have really been enjoying the podcast so far. So thanks for having me on.
No, of course. I mean, your stuff is really amazing. Yeah, I love it. Eh, Every bit of it, the videos, the posts, the book, it's all really amazing. I think you've done a great job with what you do.
Yeah, thanks so much. It's come way further than I than I ever imagined it would when I started. So yeah,
Yeah, I bet. I mean, I've been following you pretty early on, even before the book came out. Um, I think it was possibly some of your YouTube videos is what I found first years ago. And I think those videos are great. They're great instructional videos, and you've done an amazing job with them.
yeah, thanks. Yeah, the YouTube thing was a lot of fun for me. I think I have a background in education and actually online education, instructional design, and so the videos were like a way for me to think about taking my hobby and my work and blend it together, and thinking about how I would do instruction around whittling in an online format. So um, I really created a lot of those resources for kind of for family and just to put out there, and I never really expected they would go as far as they did, but I'm I'm excited about it and thankful for the way it's gone. Yeah.
Yeah, really cool. And how'd you get started in wood carving?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I did not grow up whittling or woodworking or things like that. We were on a family vacation in the summer of 2018, and I was sitting by like a campfire whittling sticks for my kids, and on a whim, I kind of carved their names into the sticks. I just thought, oh, I'll carve one for each of them, and I'll put a name into them. I didn't know at the time I was putting like stop cuts in and carving them up to kind of carve the bark off to make their names. But we came home, and I was like, that was maybe my favorite part of that vacation. It was just a quiet few hours sitting by the fire whittling. Yeah, I'd whittled sticks in Boy Scouts and things like that growing up, but I thought people must do this for fun when they're not on vacation, right? Like, but I didn't, I didn't have any family members who were wood carving or things like that. I didn't grow up around it, and so I came home and I just thought, well, that would be fun. And I was at the hardware store a few weeks later, and I bought this block of wood that said like carving block, and I didn't know what to do with it, and so I set it in my garage, and, about 6 months later, YouTube recommended, a Doug Linker video, of course. So many of us started, because of Doug, I think, and, it was the simple 5-minute wizard video, right?
Yeah, it's a popular one.
Yeah, I got that block of wood out. I had just gotten this big, not a whittling knife at all, like this big, Mora knife, not a Mora wood carving knife, but like, one of those, lower cost, like, 4.5-inch blade, really thick. It was super sharp. I was like, "Oh, I'll try that." So I carved this 5-minute wizard. I can show it to you here for the people who are watching on the video, but it's like a 2 by 2 by 10 block of wood, and of course he's carving it on this little thing that's cut off the corner, and I was like, I don't have that, and yeah, I probably spent like 3 or 4 hours watching his video and doing that. I sliced my finger open. I got a scar
Oh
here
boy.
from it. It was numb for like took a few months before the feeling came back, and it was really bad. And But I immediately ordered a glove, a better knife, and just kind of got into it and went from there. So yeah,
Wow. Yeah, I'm glad you didn't quit after cutting yourself. A lot of people will put down the knife and get discouraged. So
yeah,
yeah, no, that's incredible. Doug has been absolutely amazing in terms of teaching and wood carving for the community. I mean, I've said this before in other podcasts. He's probably responsible for thousands of carvers out there,
yeah.
getting them started and learning things. And yeah, truly amazing. Um, yeah, he inspired me as well as many others.
I kept watching his videos, and those were the first. Oh yeah, the first several months of my carving was just watching his videos and carving along to him, and it's such a great way to start. I appreciated it.
Yeah, I even still watch him today every time there's a new video. I'm excited to see that name pop up. But yeah, no, that's really cool that you got into it that way. And yeah, I always find it interesting how people start and where it kind of all began for them. Not everyone is like you said has a woodworking or wood carving background or someone to teach them. They just kind of fall into it,
Yeah.
and that's really cool.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to get into it. It wasn't something I was seeking out. I just kinda stumbled on it, and it clicked for me. So, yeah, I just enjoyed it, and I hear so many people say that once they get going with it, it just you get hooked. It's
Spirals
fun.
out of control.
Yeah.
And what's amazing is how you've built up your name in the wood carving community. I mean, you didn't just go from a casual carver like many of us. You actually produced things. You made YouTube videos. You made a book, and you have a very distinct style. You favor that flat plane Scandinavian style, but it's quite different. It's very geometric shaped, and um, the symmetry is really great too. And I just love the look of it. I'm sure as well as everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you come about that geometric style?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, I I love shapes and geometry. I majored in math. I taught high school math for a number of years, and I always loved teaching geometry. I always loved like the stereotypical math teacher had like the MC Escher posters on my wall and things like that. So I look back at that and think like those shapes and patterns and symmetry. Like I've always kind of appreciated that. Um, I think. I think where a lot of my style came out of was, really after a couple years of carving. It was around the time that I started doing the YouTube videos, and I started to really think after a few years, if I was brand new at this, like, what would I need to know, or what would I want to know to start? And so I started just trying to think about ways to really clearly define the shapes, and like how do you visualize the shape of the carving coming out of the wood, right? And I think that can be daunting for beginners sometimes, and they'll often ask like, well, how do you visualize that, or how do you even conceptualize the shape there, or drawing a pattern on, even if it's just a clear drawing, it's not always clear. Like, what do I do with that drawing on the wood? So I think it really stemmed from that, and I really spent a number of months just trying to think about how to simplify that process in a way that I could teach uh, somebody who had never really picked up a knife before how to draw some simple lines and just really clearly cut these things off. And I kind of developed this style experimentally, kind of working through there. It is very flat plane, inspired for sure. I love the big dramatic shapes, simple shapes, but instantly recognizable. Um, I realized that like it kind of developed after years of building skill and like developing hand strength and experience and everything to carve flat things. I realized that sometimes it looks simpler than it is, and sometimes it can be harder to get that clean style. And I just say, it doesn't like you can carve it and you can have a more rounded shape. It doesn't have to be exactly flat plane or whatever. But yeah, it was really, I think, based on trying to come up with ways to explain the shapes and how they come out of the wood. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I feel like it was a lot of experimenting with that and trying to make simple carvings and shapes that I could easily communicate to people. Where does this shape come from? How would you find it in the wood?
Yeah, and I think you do a great job explaining it. In the videos I've seen, in the book, it's very clearly well thought out. Um, and I've watched a ton of videos of beginner tutorials for wood carving. Um, and a lot of them are a little bit tricky because unless you're kind of in the craft already,
Yeah,
some things just don't make sense no matter how you try to explain it. But the way you've managed to explain it in the books and everything is just very simplistic and easy to follow and understand.
yeah,
So I've recommended your book to plenty of beginners. I've taught a few workshops and I've brought it with me and to show as examples and stuff. And I think it's a great resource. And yeah, you've done an excellent job with that.
yeah.
And
I Thank
really,
you. First of all, thank you for buying it and recommending to people. I don't take that for granted.
absolutely. I
I
mean,
put it out there
I,
and I'm like, I hope people like it. I hope people find it useful, but it's super encouraging me when I hear things like that because I really I think back to when I started and there's so many different things. There's everybody's got different opinions on everything and it's a lot to kind of
of
wade
course,
through when you're a beginner. And so it was kind of my attempt first in the videos and then in the book to distill that down into like if I was somebody picking up a knife and wood for the first time and I didn't know what to do, like what do I really need to know? And trying to think about how to communicate that really clearly and succinctly. Um, so I really appreciate when I hear things like that, and I don't take it for granted. So thank you.
no, you're very welcome. I mean, you definitely deserve the accolades for the book and for the videos. Um, I know how hard it could be to produce videos and things like that, and it's no easy task. And I'm glad there's people like you that are willing to put that effort in to help out the beginners and even the people who've been doing this for years. Um, it's just a great resource. It's always nice to be able to learn someone's techniques and styles and their perspective on the craft. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
for
think it's
sure.
great. And the other thing I'm very curious about is the colors you
Mm.
use for all your projects. They're very bright and vivid, and they complement each other so well. How did that kind of become your part of your signature? Because
Yeah,
for me, painting is my least favorite part of the hobby. I hate painting.
yeah,
I do it because it's a necessary evil for them, but
yep.
I don't enjoy doing.
I agree 100%. And I think people are sometimes surprised by that because I do get that. I do get that a lot. But what I point out is like I try to think about I don't like painting. I've got carvings all over here that I've carved and are just not painted because it's hard for me to motivate myself to paint actually.
Same here.
Yeah, and so I think it really developed out of thinking, what can I do that's really simple but will like make an impact, right? So I think it
Mhm.
started really probably with the gnomes and thinking about like I don't carve a ton of extra detail onto a lot of my carvings, and part of it honestly is because I don't want to paint a belt. Painting belts It takes forever.
Yeah.
I haven't carved a ton of Santas, but when I do, it takes me hours and hours and hours, and it's not my favorite thing. So like with the gnomes, it was like, well, I want a coat and a hat and a beard, right? So there's three colors, and that's really, what I try to get to. And I think what I realized is like part of what I can do to make that stand out is to pick these fun, different, bright, bold colors. I don't know that I consciously set out to do that, but I just kind of tried it. I liked it. I think I probably was just in the craft store and picked some colors that I thought were bright and fun and might look alike. It's kind of funny because like I I'm a very like earth tone kind of outdoorsy guy. Wear a lot of brown and dark colors, and my kids give me a hard time for just wearing gray all the time. And um but I don't know, I just feel like it takes the simple shape and makes it pop. But it is for me a simplicity thing, because I don't want to have to use 5 or 6 or 10 different colors. I just want to do a few and try to make it recognizable and make it pop. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think going that route with your style of carvings, the two simplistic styles just blend really well together. Um, and each carving just pops and looks amazing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Painting for me is the absolute worst. I do the same thing. A gnome's gonna have three colors,
Yeah.
maybe four. Um, I use a dirty brush. I don't swap out brushes. I wash the same brush and dip it into the next paint color. And yeah, I'm just completely lazy when it comes to painting and not
Yeah.
interested. So I,
Yeah.
I can understand that.
I think part of it is trying to keep it beginner friendly too. And I think again, I think, part of what I try to do, in at least the carvings that I've published videos or things in the book, is like I want it to feel attainable. I want you to be able to
Mhm.
look at it and think like, hey, I could do that. And if I have a really elaborate paint job, it feels less attainable. But if there's just like a couple colors on there, people are like, oh yeah, I could do that. And I think that's part of it too. Especially that was conscious thinking in the book, was keeping it as simple as possible, not just to carve, but to paint, so people can feel like that's achievable. Yeah.
Yeah, I can understand that. I've definitely have been discouraged by certain types of projects that I've seen online that I wanted to try due to the extreme painting or extreme details, because if you're at a stage in your carving process where you're not as well equipped to carve something with a lot of detail, or you're not well versed in painting, a lot of times you just don't even want to attempt it
Yeah.
because you know your limitations. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's great that kept it simple and fun.
Yeah. It works for me, but I am jealous sometimes when I see some of these other guys with just amazing paints and colors and everything. And
Yeah,
yeah, but I just try to keep it simple so I don't have to spend as much time painting. That's what it comes down to.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
One of my favorite carvings from your book is the little succulent cactus
Yeah.
plant.
Yeah.
Um, I've carved dozens of those, and people really like them. And I've sold them at shows, and I've given them away to people. And my main selling point is it's a plant that will never die,
Yeah. Yeah.
like for people who can't keep plants. And they
Yeah.
just get a kick out of that line, and they think they're really nice and cute. So yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah. That's I when I sit down to carve with people, to kind of teach them, and I haven't done any like in person formal classes, but I've sat down with family members or friends who want to try it. That's what I always start them with, is the cactus. And most people just really like that. that little shape, and it's pretty easy, and you can round it as much as you want, or make it as flat plainish as you want, and yeah, it works well that way. So yeah, I love that
Okay.
you get interest in it at shows and stuff. That's so cool.
People like it. Yeah, they have,
Yeah.
I have it in my carving section and they're scattered all around and they're like, "Oh, some people have to question what it is."
Okay.
But some people get it and yeah, they people like it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it stands out. So, no, really cool. Now, you've done YouTube. I don't see much from your YouTube these days. Is that
Yeah.
something you stopped doing?
It's something that I always wish I had more time for. Um,
That makes
I
sense.
wouldn't say I've stopped doing it, but I've slowed on it. I think I posted maybe 2 videos last year. I think it's a combination of a couple things. One is that I really set out to kind of, make a series of videos that would intentionally kind of introduce complete beginners to wood carving. I felt like that was kind of a niche that I wanted to fill, that if you actually kind of watch them in order, you can kind of build skills. Part of it is that I kind of, made it through that I kind of wanted to put out and maybe contribute that kind of series of projects and videos. A big part of it is just finding time to do it. Um, and yeah, it takes effort, as you know.
Yeah.
It'll when I do it, it'll eat up a lot of my weekend, and I've got kids and a full time job and things, and sometimes it's just yeah, it's too much to fit in there. So I've got ideas, I've got things that I wanna do all the time, and I'm always thinking, "Oh, I should get back and do some more videos." I think, I I got a Santa, this triangle Santa video thing out in, like, November. I think that was the last one I had. I'd carved them a year earlier and was thinking all year, like, "I need to get this out in time for
Yeah.
Christmas." So I have ideas. It just comes down to time and motivation, and then do I want to spend my time when I do have it carving for fun myself, or do I want to make another video? And I would love to produce more videos. I'm hoping to do more later this year, but I can never promise too far ahead because I don't
Yeah.
know what life is going to look like then. And yeah. Anyway,
Yeah, I can definitely understand. I've done some wood carving videos in the past, and they're not my favorite. They take 3 times as long to carve and shoot and edit, and, um, yeah, I think to produce those types of videos, you need to have the hobby of wanting to film stuff
yeah,
as well, and I just don't really have that in me, and I admire immensely the guys who do. I mean, you got Doug and Johnny Layton and um, Jonathan Creason and
yeah,
a ton of others that I'm sure I'm leaving out.
yeah,
But yeah, I really admire everything that those guys do and what they put out and the amount of effort that really goes into these
yeah.
videos. Um, there's a lot more than we're actually seeing.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot, especially to do like a tutorial video. Because I'm never gonna do a if I'm gonna do a tutorial video, it's gonna be something that I've created, something unique. I don't want to do videos on other people's carvings or things like that. So
Yeah.
and 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 everybody's when you make a unique thing, you have to do it a bunch of times to get it
Yeah.
down to the point where you can talk through that. Then you got to think about, and I will sometimes I'll carve through it and think like, I don't talk out loud, but I recite in my mind, like, how am I going to explain this? How am I going to do this? And it takes a lot of effort to do it. I enjoy doing it, but it's a lot. And when I'm busy with other things, oftentimes I think I'm gonna do what I want to do that's going to be more refreshing, which is just carving for fun. and that. But I do think, I mean, just an aside on the YouTube thing, like YouTube rewards the algorithms are like built to reward you for publishing regularly and putting stuff out.
Yeah.
And when I was putting videos out more often, I felt this like pressure of like, oh, my viewings are going down. I need to get another one out, and I need to keep this going. And it just
Yeah.
felt like I don't want to be controlled by that. So I'm going to put videos out when I have time to and I'm able to, and I love doing it when I can. But it's just different periods of time. And if I put out a few videos in a row, great. If I go a year without putting one out, that might happen. I haven't quit it, but I just haven't been able to get as many out lately, and I don't wanna be beholden to, the YouTube algorithm to do it when I wanna do it,
Yeah.
and yeah,
Yeah. You don't want to chase the numbers.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And the thing is that the wood carving is the main passion and hobby
right,
for
right,
all of us. And when you end up chasing numbers on YouTube or the algorithms or the Instagram posts and likes, you start to lose yourself.
yep,
And you just, it becomes more obligational carving than enjoyment carving. Um, so yeah, I can relate and I can understand to that. Yeah, I mean, I can understand that.
yeah,
It's tough.
yeah,
And then you're just ultimately juggling like five different hobbies just
right,
to maintain the one that you really like.
right, right, yeah,
So
yeah,
it is challenging.
yeah,
And then we've been talking a lot about the book.
yeah.
I've been dying to know, what does it take to write a wood carving book and publish it? I mean, it can't be easy. It's
Yeah,
got to be tiring and time consuming, and
yeah,
it looks kind of glamorous, oh, he's
it
selling
does.
books and but I don't know really what goes into that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
I've
yeah. It was a incredible, very good experience overall. It was draining in a lot of ways, a lot of work, a lot of time. I'm so thankful to have the opportunity for it. It really, I think, stemmed out of doing a few articles for Wood Carving Illustrated first, and then um, uh, actually it was after I started posting the videos, the beginner videos on YouTube, that they kind of came back to me and asked if I would be interested in doing a book. And I had like 5 or 6 projects that I had lined up to do as videos that I was planning to do videos for, and, right when they asked me to do that, I just happened to have all these projects kinda queued up. I had just gone through this, I don't know, I find that my creativity comes in bursts, and I just had all these ideas and things, and so I thought, "Well, I do actually have about enough projects to do this." I had already kind of had the experience of writing the magazine articles, which is essentially the same thing on the projects. I had started off the video series on YouTube with things like how to select a knife and wood, and um, uh, your strop and things like that. So I'd kind of laid those things out and I'd kind of organized my thinking around those things and the way that I wanted to communicate it, starting through the videos, and that kind of gave me a starting point that I think helped. Um, And so for me, it wasn't just like, "Hey, I'm jumping into this with nothing." I kind of, uh, had the experience writing a little bit from the magazine articles, and I had, the experience of kind of bringing some of that information together for the videos I had done. That said, it was still like it was about 6 to 8 months of every weekend and evening almost, just working on it. So, what it came down to, was about, like, one of those chapters, one of those projects about every 2 weeks. And so if
Mm,
you think about that and you think about the same thing that I described with the videos, like having to carve it multiple times and think that out. Thankfully, they let me use a few of the projects that were already on the YouTube channel, but the rest of them had to be unique. And uh, but it's that same level of planning. But then instead of talking through it on a video, you're taking still pictures of it. And so a lot of photography and then writing it out, writing in, taking something that, maybe takes an hour to carve and you could explain every cut, and trying to break that down into 12 steps is a challenge in itself. And I might have had, 300 pictures for one project that I had to whittle down to 12 pictures.
Wow.
And to be fair, some of those would be throwaway, but for every step, I might have a dozen photos of just slightly different angles or different stages of the step, and then try and decide which one really captures it right. And then writing it and just learning how to articulate what you're doing is actually kind of difficult in whittling. So you got to learn how to describe it. And when you're doing it on a video, you can keep talking and it's not a big deal. When you're doing it in a book, you got to keep it short and succinct. And yeah, so it was a really good experience. I got really good, I think, at my process for design, for writing, for putting all of that out. But honestly, I don't want to say this in a negative way, because it was an incredible experience. I'm so thankful to have had it. So appreciative to have the opportunity to do it. And I ended it, and I was just I went through like 6 months of hardly carving at all, because I was just so burnt out on it. And it really did. Just like when you carve a lot, I don't sell a lot of carvings, but when you do, it starts to feel more like work than a hobby.
Yeah.
It definitely got to that point at the end. And I would do it again in a heartbeat. Uh, have the opportunity to do that. It was just incredible. And I'm super proud of it and happy to have it. But it was it took a lot of it took a lot out of me, and ate up a lot of time. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds really intense. I can't imagine that type of effort going into it. Um,
Yeah.
I knew it had to be somewhat intensive, um, but yeah, I didn't think you would need to take that many photos and different angles for every step, but it does make a lot of sense, now that you mention it.
Yeah. And you might not have to take that many photos. That's the way that
Yeah,
I do it.
true.
I'd love to hear from some other people who've done this and that, but I would take a lot of photos, just because I wanted to get it just right. But yeah, so uh, maybe I was a little bit overkill on it, but that was my approach, and I'm happy with what I got out of it.
The other thing you were saying, um, where you have to write out the steps, is another thing too. I mean, I've read plenty of wood carving books and how-to books and things like that. And that's what always kind of trips me up a lot, is their instructional aspect of it.
Yeah,
Um, it is kind of hard to put it into writing what you're doing with your hands,
yeah,
um, which I think is why so many people flock to YouTube,
uh
because it's easier, it's a visual aid, it's explained at the same time. Even the silent um, tutorials are still a lot easier to follow than reading it out in a book, at least for me.
yeah.
Um, maybe for some people it's easier for them to read it.
Yeah, the writing is a unique challenge. I enjoyed it. I enjoy it as a challenge, because there's something to be said for being able to try to distill it down into like a clear, simple statement, for instruction. I still, I learned by watching videos, right? But I have so many books, and I love sitting and reading those books, even if I don't do the projects. I get my Woodcarving Illustrated magazine every month, and I read the steps for almost every project, even if I don't carve them. and I just enjoy hearing how other carvers describe what they're doing, and I learn from that and get ideas from it, even if I don't carve those projects, which the vast majority of them I don't. Um, there's something just nice. We whittle, I think most of us, because we want to unplug and do something tangible and concrete. There's something nice about sitting down with a book and reading through it. That that matches that unplugged. So I think there's definitely room for both the video instruction and the books. And
Oh yeah,
uh,
absolutely.
uh, yeah, but it's a definitely a different set of challenges. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I have a stack of books, you know, of all types of styles and different people. And yeah, some of them I have no interest in even carving. I
yeah,
just like to see how they're doing it. And um, yeah, you pick up some really neat and interesting ideas from all of them.
yeah,
So yeah, I know it sounded intense, but I'm appreciative that you created a book. Um, and I'm
yeah,
sure all the people out there that did buy one or reference it appreciate it as well. It's well written, that's for sure. It was easy to read,
yeah. Thank you,
and
thank
the
you.
pictures were great. Very,
Yeah,
very visual
I
in a good way.
I like the photography aspect of the hobby. You talk about the extra hobbies that we get onto it, and I enjoy the photography aspect of it as well. So, yeah, it was. I don't want to complain about it at all because I was incredibly fortunate to have the opportunity, and
Yeah,
so thankful to do it. Thankful to hear of people buying it, and seeing it out there is just incredible. It was draining, but it was worth it. Yeah, yeah,
that's good. And it's also it's a nice how's the way to I'm trying to think of a way to put it, but it goes hand in hand with wood carving because you're carving something and you're creating something
yes,
that will
yeah,
last, hopefully a lifetime or longer.
yeah,
But now you wrote a book which is published and out there in the world, which will last many, many generations. So I think that's kind of cool that you have
yeah,
that long lasting impression in the world, which many carvers I think kind of crave as a creative. You're creating something to last and stand the test of time. You know, some people want to be remembered or whatever the case is or thought of. And I think it's cool that they kind of go hand in hand with each other, the carving and the book.
yeah. Yeah, it's a fun record of my work. I always think of my pictures even on Instagram and things are like it's a record of my work. And if I give those carvings away, which I often do, uh or I don't have them anymore, I have that tangible record of what I did. And so I do put thought into my photographs and set them up because that ends up being like that's what I keep. If I
Yeah,
give the carving away, I still have that photo and the record of the work that I'd done. The book is this incredible, tangible um, artifact of my work, and yeah, and I mean, I'm still surprised and kind of overwhelmed that I got the opportunity to do it, but thankful. Yeah,
now, did someone reach out to you to do it, or did you reach out to a publishing company to do it?
yeah.
Like, how does that work?
No, they reached out to me, and I don't know how this goes, like author to author. I can't speak to, other things. I don't think I would have had the audacity to pitch the idea of writing a book.
Yeah.
Um, after I had written several wood carving illustrated articles, the editors there at Fox Chapel reached out and asked if I would be interested in making a proposal for a book. So it was, would you be interested in proposing a book? And so then I wrote up a proposal and description of what I would do for a book and some of the samples and projects and things, and then it went through a review process to do that. So They do accept. I mean, you can go on their website and you can pitch book ideas. They do accept, pitches, and I imagine that would go through a similar process. I think I was fortunate because they saw some of the things I had put on Instagram and asked for an article, and that went well. And I did another
Yeah.
article, and that went well. And then I was very fortunate to be that they asked me to do it. I would never have. I don't think I would have had the guts or the belief that I
Yeah.
could do it to just go and to pitch it otherwise. Yeah. So
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I always kind of wondered that
yeah,
how that worked, but that's interesting.
yeah. I imagine it could happen either way. I haven't really talked to other people who've published books directly, but I imagine it could happen either way. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's always self-publishing too. You
Yep.
can go that route, but yeah, oh, very very cool,
Yeah.
really cool. And what kind of tools are you working with?
Yeah. That's a good question. I carve mostly with knives. I'm not great with gouges and things like that. I feel like my first year of carving, I did all sorts of different things. You can see like these small relief carvings that I did in my first year of carving and stuff. But I really settled into I just love whittling and I love just using the knife. And I have amassed a large collection of knives when I started doing the YouTube video, or I used to sell more things on Etsy than I do now. It's been a long time since I've sold anything. I would use that money to buy more knives, and then I put a series of YouTube videos out talking about different knives. And I still do that occasionally. I did one last year, I think, on the more recent Badger State blade knives. So I have a wide variety of knives, and one of the things I really enjoy doing actually is like rotating through them. So I've got a few Badger State blades, and I'll carve with them for a few weeks, and then I'll kind of set aside, and I'll carve with my deep holler knives for a while, and then I'll set those aside, and I'll go back to those Pinewood Forge Harley knives that I'm super thankful that I bought several years ago when you still could. Or I'll go through a Helvy phase, and I do kind of intentionally like rotate through them, and I love just feeling the differences. It's subtle, but like the
It
mild
is.
differences between the different knives and getting getting comfortable with them, and then being able to kind of compare those different things. So I try to. I should probably. I've been thinking I should probably sell a few knives off. I've got more than I need for sure, but I love experimenting with them and trying a new brand and
Yeah.
seeing what they're like. So yeah, mostly knives. The ones that I go to most frequently are a couple from Deep Holler. I love my Deep Holler knives, and a couple from Badger State blades that I just go back to again and again. But I do try to intentionally use them regularly. And oftentimes when I carve in the evening, I'm not even carving anything in particular. I'm just stropping my knives and making test cuts and doodling around. And I find that relaxing. And I've got piles of partially carved things that are just doodles and things that I'm doing that'll never turn into a finished
Yeah.
carving. And for me, that's part of the enjoyment is just experimenting with the different knives and stuff. I have some small sets of gouges I use. I don't use much outside of a V tool. Um, and uh and that I don't have any full sizes gouges or anything like that. I have some palm gouges from OCC and from Drake. Again, I'm thankful I was able to get those several years ago when you still could. Um, but I don't hardly use them outside of a few V tools. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. I go through a rotating phase as well. I recently bought a Badger State knife. I'm waiting for it. They have a bit of a
Yeah.
lead time.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for that. But I have Helvy, I have Flexcut, I have couple of independent knife makers, Ash and Axe, and
Hmm.
yeah, I would love to get some OCC Tool and Drake and Deep Holler, but like you mentioned, a lot of those are a little hard to get now.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I've recently been using the Flexcut Pro series.
Yeah.
I like them. I'm not a fan of the handle, to be honest. I had to wrap it.
Hmm.
It was a little. The shape is nice, but it was too smooth,
Yeah.
and I found I just kept slipping out of my hand. So I put some of this that finger grippy tape
Yeah.
around it. But yeah, they're great knives.
Yeah.
But
I always
uh,
I didn't say Flexcut, but I do have a collection of Flexcut knives too, and those are what I always recommend to beginners.
yeah, yeah,
For
they're great.
sure. Yeah.
And then as far as gouges go, I have a ton of flex cut palm gouges, and then I have the Pfiel
Yeah.
gouges. I mean, those are great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's if I'm using a gouge, that's what I'm picking up to use.
Yeah. I've been thinking
Um,
about picking up some of the file palm gouges. I use mostly I have a few Drake V tools that I love, and I haven't quite like felt the need to acquire V tools or gouges the way I have knives.
yeah,
But I would like to try those file ones sometimes. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, over the years, I've bought. They come in sets of like five or six, and I think I've almost completed the entire set. I think I'm one set short. So I think I have about 12 or 13 of them.
Yeah.
But I only really use 3.
Yeah.
I use a little veiner that they have. I use like a U gouge, and then I have like a shallower gouge that I use. I don't get too hung up on the numbers and the number 7 and all that. I could care less. I just pick whichever one matches the shape I need, or
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, they're great. I can't recommend File enough. They're It's like when you first like you're using a basic set of knives, and then you finally get one of the premium knives,
Yep.
and you're like, wow, okay, there's a huge difference. The same thing with the File.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's cool. I have tons and tons of knives also.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Um,
part of the hobby, right? That's a fun part of it. And I
yeah,
like I've enjoyed learning to sharpen, uh and I don't I find it kind of relaxing in the evening just to get a few knives out and strop them, get them super sharp, and just enjoy doodling and cutting some shapes out. And um yeah, it's fun. Uh
do
yeah.
you sharpen on a stone, or do you power sharpen, power strop, any of that?
Yeah, I mean, when I need to sharpen, I usually use sandpaper. So I started doing that. It's a video by on YouTube by Marty Leanhouse. He's a chip carver, and I can't remember what the name of his. It's got a name of his website or YouTube channel, but
Yeah,
uh, he's got a process for his chip carving knives that essentially you just use the wet dry sandpaper the same way you would with a strop. And I think that's what attracted me to it when I was getting started. Was like, okay, I can do the exact same motion, and you just lay that wet dry sandpaper out on a flat piece of glass
yeah,
or MDF or something that's completely smooth, and you do the same thing as you do when you strop, and you just start with, if I need to sharpen, probably around 1,000 or 1,200 Brit, and then work it back up. I do have a couple diamond stones that when I've got something that's got a chip in it, or I've had like the tip of something break off and I have to reprofile the front, or it's really really dull, but it's rare that my knives get dull enough that I need it. then I've got a couple diamond stones, like I think like a 600 and an 800 or something that I'll go back to if I need to. But I find the sandpaper is just cheap and easy. Um, and I don't even need to go there that often. I think like most beginners, I didn't strop enough my first year, and so some of my knives got dull, and I didn't know that, but you really can keep them sharp with a strop if you stay on top of it, and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, very cool. I've seen that video. It's one of my favorites
mm,
for sharpening. It's the most easiest one to
yeah,
follow and just makes sense of how he does it. I don't ever use sandpaper all that much, mainly because I don't have a supply of higher grit sandpaper on hand. I have stones. I use ceramic stones from Spyderco,
okay, yeah,
and I've always had great results with them. And then, of course, I strop pretty regularly, so I very rarely need to hit the stone unless I drop the knife or chip the edge or something. And
yeah,
then on rare occasion, I don't have a power strop, but I've made a makeshift one. I have a lathe, so I have a cotton buffing wheel
okay,
that
yeah,
I put on like a mandrel on my lathe. I turn it to the lowest setting, have compound on it, and I just will quickly power strop at times. I tend not to do it because it's pretty aggressive. I use it mainly for my larger um, bench chisels that I have. I
okay,
have the bigger carving gouges.
yeah, yeah,
I'll use it for that because I can get on the inside of the profile and the outside. So, um, but I very rarely use it on my knives, only because I feel like it's overkill.
yeah. Yeah, I tried like a power thing on a drill and I don't know. I've just gotten used to doing it by hand, and I don't find it I don't find it uh unpleasant. I I like stropping. I
Yeah,
like sharpening by hand. And it's not hard to keep up with, and it's actually kind of a relaxing, enjoyable part of the hobby for me. But super
yeah,
intimidating when you're a beginner. I totally get it. You're scared to mess up that knife that you got, and I was
of
too.
course.
But yeah,
Yeah. Once you get the hang of it, though,
yeah,
it's pretty straightforward.
yep,
Unless
yep,
you have more of the complex um, Floyd knives and curved knives and all types of.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's when it gets a little bit harder.
How did you come about doing the podcast thing? Um, I'm curious about that. It's been interesting and good to listen to, but yeah, where did you get to there? Because you talk about like um, we have these other side parts of the hobby, whether that's photography or sharpening or video production. Did you have an interest in video or audio production, or how did you come about with the with starting the podcast?
Yeah, that's a good question. No, I don't. I never really had an interest in photography or anything like that. I kind of I really love wood carving and woodworking in general. I do both, but wood carving has been such a big part of my life over the last several years, and I've kind of, I made some really incredible friends doing it, and just met them online, and it's given me so much joy. And I don't know, I kind of just wanted to learn more about carving and the people behind their carvings. And there wasn't really anyone doing a carving podcast. There was, Alec Laclasse's Carving and Coffee, or Coffee and Carving um, podcast that he was doing, but that ended.
Yeah,
You have the International Association of Wood Carvers, and they do their thing, which is great, and I love that. Um, but yeah, I just kind of wanted something where I can hear people's stories and their journey and how they got into it, and because everyone has a drastically different way they got into the craft. Some
Yeah.
people have been doing it since they're kids. Some people, like yourself, just picked it up out of the blue. Um, and then the other thing is, life is busy. I have a full time job. I have a family. I don't always get to sit and carve when I want to and how I want to. So this was kind of just another way to embrace the hobby, I guess.
Yeah.
And yeah, just kind of fell into it. And I just decided, hey, you know what? Let me try it and see how it goes and see what it's like. And you know, I kind of set my mind to just do one season to begin with, and I'm like, hey, if anything, I did one season, and if it didn't work, I didn't like it, I could stop then and there. But the way it's going, I mean, I'm having a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah.
Everyone has been so amazing. The wood carving community in general has always been amazing and
Yeah,
so
for sure.
helpful. People are always willing to share their knowledge, where they learn things, their styles, their tools, techniques, and yeah, kind of just wanted to bring that into a little bit more of an open conversation for everyone. And then the other thing is with wood carving, it's a very solitary hobby. Most of us carve in our garage or outside alone, with no one around. They have no one to talk to while they're doing it. Um, they may not know anyone in their community that does it, so they have no one to kind of feed off or bounce ideas off, and they kind of flock online for that advice or attention. So yeah, I think that's kind of another reason why I wanted to do it, to kind of bring the community a little bit closer together, and
Yeah.
we can learn about the maker as well as their artwork, because often online we only see the artwork.
Yeah.
We see the carving. I mean, you're known for the geometric patterns. I There's never really a face that matches the name
Right.
or the images with these
Right.
things. And there's so much more to the artist than just the work they produce. So I find it fascinating just hearing about that kind of stuff and how their brains work and how their minds work. And there's some truly, truly incredible people out there. Their minds just work so different. And doing these interviews, I've come across so many of them that it's fascinating how just their brain works when it comes to design and how they operate. It's just
Yeah.
really, really interesting. And, you know, the viewers will see in future episodes or previous episodes how these people's minds work. And it's really incredible.
Yeah.
Um,
That's cool. It's really
so,
more about that human element and connection that's motivated you more than like the audio visual components and things like that. And I think that's awesome. I loved listening to that first episode you did with Cody. And
yeah,
I don't I don't I don't know him. I had seen his appearance on the International Association of Wood Carvers, but hearing you talk about like the friendship that you guys struck up online, that was really cool. And I think like I intentionally, I'm a little bit. I only post about wood carving publicly, right? I'm not posting about myself, and I don't generally put my face in posts. I don't put my face in posts. I just
yeah,
put my
same here.
carvings out there, and so yeah, you're absolutely right. I think hearing those stories of the carvers, the people behind those things that we see, uh, is cool. And so I appreciate you doing that. I've enjoyed the ones I've heard and happy to happy to participate. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And I appreciate you doing it. I mean, yeah, Cody, it's very interesting because we started off like many others, just exchanges on Instagram comments. Oh, that's cool. Or how'd you do that? And then eventually you're messaging each other back and forth and like, hey, I'm working on this. What do you think? Or how did you paint it that way? Or and Cody's, I'm really, it, it's really amazing that I get to call him a friend at this point. You know, he's definitely a close friend, and him and I have connected over the years, and yeah, it really just blossomed into a nice friendship, and I'm grateful to have that. And I wouldn't have had that without wood carving.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, this, you know, these interviews and these podcast episodes are just another way of kind of expanding that, I guess. You know, I don't think I'm going to become best friends with every
Sure.
person I
Yeah.
interview, but it's definitely nice getting to know all of you face to face, have these conversations, learn about what makes you tick in the wood carving world and even outside the wood carving world.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, there's so much more to all of us than just wood carving. We have other hobbies, other interests, other things we care about. I mean, I have a plethora of other hobbies other than wood related stuff,
Yeah.
as I'm sure all of you guys do.
Yeah.
Um, and I just, yeah, I'd love to hear about all that and
Yeah.
learn more.
Yeah, it's cool. There's so many, especially on Instagram, at least for me, there's so many carvers that like their images, their names, you see it all the time. And even if you don't interact with them directly, like I know of that carver, I can recognize their carvings. I recognize their name. I see them all the
Yeah,
time. Right. And so being able to hear a little bit more from people, get to know them, that's great. I love it. Yeah.
yeah. And no matter which part of the internet you're on in the wood carving world, because
Yeah.
each platform has their own following. So you got Facebook um, pages which have their own set following. You have Instagram which has their own set following, and then you have Reddit which has their own set.
Yeah.
And then you'll see familiar names in each one of those, um, but you won't see everyone's name.
Right.
So it is interesting to see the different realms
Yeah.
um, online, which names are very familiar or popular. You see over and over and over again. Like your name, I've seen everywhere in Wood Carving Illustrated, and I think you see a lot of the active members pop up a lot.
Yeah.
But there's so much more that are just not in Instagram. So the people who are watching just solely on Instagram don't know about the Redditors, and the
Right.
Redditors won't know about the Facebook
Yeah.
guys. So
I know Reddit
uh,
exists. I just don't have time to keep up with everything. So I'm not there. When I
yeah,
post stuff, it's not there. Other people may post stuff there, which is fine, but
yeah,
yeah, it's hard to keep up with all of it. So I kind of started on
it's impossible.
Instagram. I cross post to Facebook some. I don't like Facebook as much,
Yeah,
but I put I cross post there and then YouTube. But yeah. Anyway, it's good. It's a tight circle, and you do start to recognize and get to know people, even if you don't know them. You know of them. Yeah.
yeah, and everyone's rooting for each other. They're
Yep.
always well done. That's awesome. That's really cool. I mean, the only somewhat negative comments I'll end up seeing is usually within the Reddit world
Hmm.
where, you know, and it's always by someone who's not really into the craft,
Yeah.
someone who just wants to knock you down for some reason, whatever it is. But yeah, that's other than that, the actual wood carving community is amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
For sure.
they've always they've always been amazing to me, and yeah, I love the craft, I love the hobby, and I love the community.
Cool.
So I'm gonna keep this going as long as I can. If people keep wanting to hop on and talk to me, then I'll keep it going. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Great.
David, thank you again for coming on the show today. I really appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure to follow or subscribe to the Modern Woodcarver podcast so you don't miss out on future conversations. Be sure to check out David's work online at DY Woodcarving and pick up a copy of his book, Whittlers on the Go. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode.